Okay. So businesses are coming in and they want to do courses. And that's really just a way to be able to qualify them. And the business wants to be able to talk to someone who's doing the work, who's the waiter. And the waiter is kind of a project manager that will be an account manager eventually when it becomes simplified, driven by a menu. And they have the menu. Okay. And of course, the waiter is not the one who's making the food. There's people in the kitchen. And there's several kinds of people in the kitchen. There is the influencer, which is really just a kid with a cell phone. And they're a Jake Paul FFM certified influencer.
They're a Jake Paul FFM certified kid with a cell phone.
And then there are the VAs from onlinejobs.ph and anywhere else that we want to hire VAs. And they are doing a task. Mainly they're doing an edit. So they're editing a document, they're editing a video, they're editing a graphic, they're editing stuff that's just one step ahead of the template. Or maybe they are using the template, but once we have the template, we're going to try to automate them. So they're just like one step ahead of the robot. Okay. Now the business comes in, and they come through in fact, all of these guys have to come through a qualifying process, which we described earlier. Some kind of certification, they earn a badge, it's gamified. Could be Lightspeed. I think it's probably going to be LearnDash with Memberium and Infusionsoft, maybe Builder All Components. But whatever it is, they step through these things. Could be Go High Levels, many ways to have courses, okay? Point is they go through these courses, get sorted into a particular job role where they show that they can do stuff. They familiarize themselves with the idea that there's a 5-star system, that they will get rated by the underlying customer, and they will make money on a performance basis, meaning piecemeal. Not exactly as affiliate, but based on the health of the business. Now the business comes in and they need some kind of assessment. Because we have to take an x-ray, and this is really just another way of just saying MAA. So this is training, where we want them to step through these different things, and then MAA is where, once they get past this fundamental training, we want to understand what their goals are. And therefore, what we need to do about it, and why is that the way it is? I want to, live in my own house. I want to be able to make $1 million a year. I want to be able to support my kids. Whatever it is, right? And the business has a particular assessment which is based on GCT, and all these other people have goals that are based on a 3x3, but they're actually all the same thing. Because in my experience in the last 30 years, all these people, even though they say they want a Lamborghini, they say they want like a lot of money, they really just want to be able to live with freedom, to be able to make $10,000 a month to pay their bills. They don't want some crazy thing. You'll have a few people who actually do want to succeed and get really big, which is where some entrepreneurs like you live, but most people don't act that way. But provided we have this qualifying stage, figuring out what their goals are, making recommendations based on what you said your goals are, this is what we need to do, then we step them through that package. Because the metrics analysis action is therefore, here's the package, here's the treatment plan that you're going to need, and they all start with digital plumbing. Because we have to track against the goals. You set the goal, now we got to be able to track it. So the business, because they've already taken the course, which is really just the SAE. Phase 1 is digital plumbing. Then the project manager is saying, hey, welcome. Here's some auto coaching. I'm going to call that auto coaching. Let me tell you about why digital plumbing is important. Here's what we need to do, all this. And this doesn't require the PM or account manager to say anything. Meanwhile, on the VA side, they're doing digital plumbing task 1 to get the most fundamental basics in place, and they're being paid off of the internal transfer price. There's the menu price. So let's say that this is a $3,000 package, and then we go across the 6 phases: plumbing, goals, content, targeting, amplification, and optimization. We might say that to get through the setup phase, of course there's a retainer after the setup, but starting with the setup, maybe that's like 6 phases is worth approximately, they're not exactly even, but we'll just say like each one's worth $500, right? Because 3,000 is 6 phases times $500. List price, that's what the business is paying. We know that down here, the work that's being done should be about 30% of the price here. So if we say that, then there's about $900, for sake of simple math, distribution between these particular tasks here, which go back to what our menu pricing is. This project manager could take maybe 20%, maybe 30 if we don't want to make much profit. Then we have a cost of marketing that will probably average to be about 10%, but we'll say for certain partners, we'll pay them on a 20% rev share. But half of them are going to come through with nothing, and half of them we're going to pay the 20, so it's going to average the 10. So this gives us 70s here, which gives us 30% margin, which allows for us to cover our overhead and be able to generate a profit. So it's not 30% profit, it's 30% gross income, right? 30, 20, 20 is 70, there's 30 here. 30 then covers other expenses that we have that are for central overhead. The people that are not working directly on the client projects but are building systems on it. So this will be able to cover that. I imagine that under 1,000 clients, we're going to be close to break even, because we're going to need to plow everything back into building systems. At 2,000 plus clients, and especially automation of some of these components down here, I think that this will be close to pure profit. So as we scale, we have to get past 1,000 clients for this margin to really take place. Okay, so they're coming on digital plumbing, and then the timer starts. T equals 0. Digital plumbing, we say a maximum of 7 days. Each of these phases should really take much less than 7 days, but we just say 7 days. That way we set the expectation. As things are done, it kicks alerts back up to here. So there's auto coaching that's occurring as things are beginning and completing into the next phase, explaining auto coaching. Here's what's happening here. And then there's manual coaching, where maybe we do that through Go High Level, where they make a little video or whatever it is, where they just say a little something, so that way the auto coaching doesn't look like auto coaching. This gives us some time for us to line up an influencer, which can come through SmartShoot or through Jake Paul. SmartShoot is like a Craigslist of people who will come in and like do this thing for you for pretty cheap, actually. But I think it's going to be through FFM and other folks who just want to learn. It's got to be geographic, because you don't want people flying out there. I mean, for now we'll fly out there, but this gives us time for the VA to come in and do the influence generator, which is like collecting mentions. That will give us a couple weeks to collect as many mentions as possible, to then allow us to automatically assemble content that then it bypasses this phase and goes straight up to the project manager to look at and review, and then straight up into what the client sees, because now they see that we have a 3x3, they see that we have a success tracker that contains the 3x3, that contains the parts of digital plumbing, that contains all of the audiences, and contains some how boosts are doing. And this will be populated before anyone even touches anything, because we're just going to, when the minute they come here, we're just going to kick off influence collection of anything that's been said about them, positive reviews on Yelp, stuff from the snapshot report. So we'll have this bare bones thing that gives the influencer an opportunity to come in and then be able to film 14 videos or however many scripts, based on scripts. Hey, how'd you get started as a dentist, and tell me about your neighborhood, and what's your favorite restaurant, all this. And we can decide whatever these are, maybe Tristan has 150 of them, whatever. Then when these are being collected then auto coaching from the project manager, saying, hey, we just kicked off this thing, manual coaching. Oh, I looked at some of your videos. I think, yeah, they look pretty good, whatever it is, right? And this is just like lightweight feedback along the way. Hey, you know what? I noticed in your video that you weren't looking at the camera. You should try to, it's too noisy outside. You should do the lighting. You should try to face into the light more, whatever it is, right? And as these things are being collected, they come down here for editing. And we need to make sure that our turnaround time here, which this will actually just continue all the way across here, amplification optimization. This is an ongoing thing. This will, 48-hour turnaround time, 24-hour turnaround time. There's going to be a ton of video editing at this first layer, because we just need to have lots of content. Then that gets injected into the funnels, funnelization, sequence campaigns, whatever you want to call them. And right, these assets get injected here, so we need some VAs to do that. And then we need some VAs to be able to generate, reports, and there's ads here, I guess, and then there's optimizing down here in phase 6. This process shouldn't take more than, from, let's say this content is an additional 7 days. It shouldn't take 7 days. It's like 1 day, a couple hours in here, get this stuff here. 7 days here, and then 21 days here. So this cycle should take about a month, 28 days. And this gives us, of course, 1 week to be able to get access to everything. Shouldn't take that long. And then 1 week to be able to discuss where we are. Right? Oh, based on your goals, content, and targeting, maybe you want to modify that. Here's how you are benchmarking, or another just way for us to catch our breath and make sure that, if anything's wrong along the way. So this should be 6 weeks. Much less than 60 days, but we might just say 2 months to buy us another 2 weeks of buffer. And then we move into a monthly piece. But every time we need to get something here, we're updating this ongoing document. That's the success tracker, which will then have the executive summary, getting stuff done, and this will just continue. And our hope is that, we can start to show real revenue. And then we show revenue, we show costs, and therefore we can show ROI. So my hope is we exit the 6 phases, even though we're starting, maybe we'll start boosting in here. We'll start boosting even if we don't really have much there, or tracking's not done, or whatever. At least just to show them that, hey, there's some traffic coming here, we're getting some impressions. Here's, we have a funnel here, we're getting some traffic already. And now, this gives us also time to tie in the goals here, so EHR tie in. So we can, actually be able to measure against these particular goals here. Targeting these custom audiences are pretty straightforward. A lot of this is just training. This is just auto coaching training. It's taking the training up here and just putting it up here. Auto coaching, telling them they can boost a post or we can boost a post. Optimization, are you answering the phone? Those kinds of things. And it's just really, we can categorize what all the different kind of auto coaching things are, so anyone who's a project manager can pre-record all these other 1-minute auto coaching segments. Then manual coaching, they know that we need to have frequent lightweight touches. So literally just make a quick little text, whatever. Each week along the way, we never want a client to be able to go a whole nother week in silence. Always say something. Say like, hey, I looked over to something and really love what picture of your kid on, whatever, on Twitter. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And the video influencer really only has to be here for this component, but we're buying time, a week or two, to be able to get them set up and scheduled, and a couple weeks just to make sure that these things are done properly. We'll pay them a certain component of this upon the editing here. But as far as the client knows, they're talking to the project manager, and behind this are all these people, as far as they know, that are doing all this work. We're going to automate this entire thing within the next 2 years. This entire piece will just they'll just talk to the project manager and they'll just assume there's all these people, because we're going to build in delays on how long it takes for us to return things. If we turn it immediately, they'll realize it was automated. So everything is moving through gated sequences. So that way we tell the client, we send them a little diagram saying, you are here, now you're here, now you're here, now you're here. Here's the performance, log into your dashboard, right? You're coming into your dashboard, see how you're doing. You get a C minus because that's, you know, based on scores 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 adds up to a C minus. Now you're getting better and better. Now we're showing ROI. This is all just buying time. You know, showing them they're getting more traffic, showing them their ranking, showing their site loads faster, showing like whatever. We're just trying to buy time at week 6 to be able to show we actually drove some patients. And we put in Allen and, you know, whatever it is, which are, you know, these kinds of campaigns, funnelization campaigns, like whatever you want to call it. This buys us a month to be able to test here. And then, you know, of course, we move to a retainer. This entire thing can be governed by our workflow system, because depending on which role you're in these roles, you'll have a particular view just of your clients and how they're doing and where things are. Or, sorry, the client sees just their view of how their thing is. The project manager looks across these different folks in the system saying, now make a message for him. Now tell this person about, now make it. We're just literally just telling them what to do. If it's not auto-coaching, ideally we just do like 90% of it through auto-coaching. Then these people is just scheduling to get the video, make sure you've uploaded it, that whole video uploading process. Here are the VAs, editing graphics, editing video. I don't think we need to do much in terms of the video effects, because we were saying like there's already a template of the videos that we want. They need to be edited this way. They're not going to be creating anything new. So I think that from a staffing standpoint, most of this is going to be like you, me, Alex, other folks that are just drawing out the process to be systematized into, done manually for the next whatever month. And that'll give Brennan and Dylan and Brady and maybe even Dan, you know, a month or two to actually get the system working. So this is sort of the progress time elapsed view. And you can imagine that you don't need a lead for each of these categories, but of course these are all backed by training, because this is our SAE. We can adjust it for pricing. I'll talk later about dynamic pricing on how much we can afford to charge and what the margins need to be. There's a whole calculator I built on explaining that piece. All right, there you go.
Jesus Christ.
What? What do you think?
Dude, how did you just draw that off the top? Oh, you actually drew this one before. That's upside down. It's not.
Should sign it. Date it.
You should.